Good morning, gang. Good morning. So I can't stop thinking. My brain keeps wandering. I keep thinking about the possibilities, the what ifs. And I'm still, I'm stuck on a few things, but I'm stuck on this call about the man, on the property attempting to touch the boys, deal with the boys, whatever. Could it be possible that the boys may have been the motivation, and that Summer, she had the hair, potentially a third party could have mistaken her for a boy. Now, the interesting thing about, let's run with that for a minute, that potentially the boys were, or one of the boys were the target, and mistakenly they've grabbed Summer. Now, the man on the property and the issue with him, it was happening while Summer was gone with Candace. So it certainly would seem as if during that day, all of the Wells children were, the subject of much chagrin in that regards, which is, is that coincidental? They say in investigations there's never a coincidence. So I start searching that realm of this gentleman that was trying to interact with the children on the property, the male children. So you start to look at the abduction in terms of the preference of any particular third party offender. Now, you run into many variables. Let's say that this offender has a preference for boys and potentially mistaken Summer as a boy. Well, then once you've made that snatch and grab, you get one, you're stuck with one, kind of thing. I think that may be probably how it works. Now, if you run into a situation where you have an offender that has no preference, now, to me, an offender that has no preference would suggest that he's offended before. I think for an offender to make that leap, in the very beginning, to have no preference sexually over this child, and we're talking about the third party offender, of course. It's, you start to look in terms of where, when you really get down to the fibers, you start to look at where would this, where could you find this offender? Where would this offender potentially reappear? And when the offender doesn't seem to naturally have a preference based upon male or female, I believe that offender becomes harder to track, especially if this is any sort of serial offender, someone that's done this before. If they have no preference, well, then I think that track becomes much more convoluted to try to source down. Now, the fact that he has no preference also makes him a lot more dangerous. He's a different kind of animal, right? An animal that wakes up and says, I'm gonna take a child today. Now, I believe that there are some, there's some offenders that plan these things. And then I think that there's offenders that just get caught in the moment, and they're like, oh, I'm down here and I'm on the dead end street, and here's this little girl, getting the mail, or she's down here throwing wood on the wood pile at the end, whatever could draw a child to the end of the road, because that's where we know that her scent lifted. Was she chasing a butterfly down there, and someone just happened to be down there, turned around, and they saw a young child, and like a cheetah or a lion or a tiger, they're triggered, and they're going to even fight to the death in order to ascertain what it is their focus is on. So we live in that day and age now. So those are just a few questions that I have. I find it a real leap in a stretch to try to assume that someone else other than the individual that was on the property. So we have we have a third party that's interested in Summer, and we also have a third party that's interested in the boys when the Summer's not even around. So that's a lot of pressure for those Wells kids. It can't be that many people right there all in one day trying to put some sort of sexual pressure on these kids. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. If you have anything intelligent and interesting to comment, please do it below. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. I have 2 membership tiers. We have kind of a gumshoe and then a more interactive group as well. So, like, share, subscribe, do all those things. Fuck you, me.